If there was a franchise that did not deserve a trilogy, Fantastic Beasts would be near the top of that list. These movies are basically like vampires, draining the blood of whatever is left of the Harry Potter legacy. If you're wondering how many films does it take to destroy a brand, do not worry, Sony is going to teach you. But in the meantime, Fantastic Beasts is doing its best to match it in terms of destruction. The truth is, these movies should have never gotten this far. To give a quick review, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a fun movie that opened up the Potterverse, as long as you don't think about it too much. Basically, it's a fun ride that brought back a small hit of nostalgia. And then there comes the sequel, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. And this movie straight up sucks. To be honest, it shouldn't even be called a movie. Unnecessarily complicated plot that don't even pay off in the end, introduces way too many characters and forgets about them. Marketing lied to you about how long Dumbledore was actually in the movie. Also, for a movie that has a subtitle that's called The Crimes of Grindelwald, he doesn't really do anything in the movie. Side note, it was also bullshit that Newt was almost executed by the Ministry of Magic because they believe he was responsible for the death of a senator and he was involved with Grindelwald. And there's like a 5-minute investigation before they throw him into the murder pool, but Grindelwald gets a whole trial, an investigation, and he's even being transported. Why didn't he just get thrown into the murder pool just like Newt? I mean, the only thing that Grindelwald seems to really have over this movie is the power of plot armor, to be honest with you. Now to review Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Basically, it's trash, but it's someone else's trash. The Crimes of Grindelwald sucked so bad, it kind of carried over to this movie. Basically, there was almost no way for it to be successful without addressing all the problems and plot points of that film. And it pretty much knows it. That's why they spent a lot of time just closing off all the plot points and finishing off a lot of character stories. So there was almost no way for this film to succeed. But to make it a little bit more digestible, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore kinda sucked. Number 1, Newt is a terrible protagonist. Newt's not necessarily a bad protagonist, but his story should have ended after Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. These last 2 movies felt like they were forcing him to be a part of it, and you can feel it. They were just getting stupider and stupider for the reasons he has to be in the movie. Oh, Newt, you have to help us catch Grindelwald because he might be associated with a girl that you liked in high school. It's like, I don't care. Like, he has no reasons to be a part of this big adventure that they're trying to force him to be on. Number 2, the Dumbledore problem. So it's very clear that J.K. Rowling really loves Dumbledore, and these movies is practically unhealthy, to be honest with you. I mean, if I were to sum up the 3 movies, the first one would be Dumbledore's nephew is an asshole. The second one would be Dumbledore's ex is an asshole. And the third one would be Dumbledore is an asshole. He pretty much overshadows these movies in a way that kind of hurt Newt's character development. With Dumbledore being in these movies, it does feel like there is a better movie lurking around the corner, but at the same time, it just might be my imagination. Number 3, the Credence problem. Credence definitely should have been killed off in the first movie. I don't even know how they let him make it to this movie, to be honest with you. They've been building up a huge confrontation between him and Dumbledore, which we actually do see in this movie, and I actually think it's actually pretty cool. It's one of the better scenes in the movie, but after that, he pretty much serves no purpose, and they just don't know what to do with the character. Number 4, Jessica Williams. No one does a particularly bad job in this movie, except for one person. Jessica Williams stands out like a sore thumb. I mean, she is bad. She plays a character called Lally Hicks, and I can't tell you what happened to her. She gives a terrible performance. Her accent is all over the place. And it's really weird because in The Crimes of Grindelwald, she sounds fine.
Then you gotta go.
What? I haven't seen action in 200 years.
Flamel, you can do this. We believe in you.
But then she's in this movie and she has at least 3 accents at once. Sometimes she sounds British, sometimes she sounds like she's from the 1920s, sometimes she sounds like she's a New Yorker, sometimes she sounds like she's in modern day. She can't pick an accent at all. She just needs to pick one and stick to it. Watching her in the theater gave me a headache. It was really hard to hear her. She also kind of sounds separate. And the worst part about it, she's actually pretty talented. If you watch her in other movies and other media, she stands out, and she's usually a dominant performance, but this was just not good at all. I think whoever was giving her the direction in this movie was trying to sabotage her performance, in my opinion. Number 5, too many characters. So they had a huge problem in Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald by introducing like 15 different characters and not giving them really anything to do except for talk about what they're going to do. And a lot of those characters show up in this movie, and I can't tell you who they are at all. I'll give you an example. There's this guy named Yusuf Kama, and he shows up on screen, and I'm just like,
wait a minute. Who are you?
He was a prominent character in The Crimes of Grindelwald, but I still didn't remember him. That's what I meant by she had too many characters and just didn't know what to do with them. And this didn't happen with just him. It was a few other characters that this did happen to, and I had the same exact feeling. I just couldn't remember these people. So now I'm gonna talk about the things I actually liked in the movie. So Johnny Depp was replaced as Grindelwald, and in my opinion, he didn't really do a good job. If Grindelwald is supposed to be a character who can get people to rally behind him, get people to believe him, like he can seduce the crowd in a way that's believable, Johnny Depp didn't really have that type of charisma, at least for this role. Now, Johnny Depp can play this role, but the direction that they were giving him, I don't think that it was working. Even the way he looked, the eye and then the hair, even for the 1920s, that's a little bit much. But Mads Mikkelsen, on the other hand, was able to pull off a great performance. He's actually believable. Every time he's interacting with another character, he makes that character feel like they're special. Like every one-on-one interaction is just great between him, and he does a great job at the seduction part, at the speech, at being able to convince people. He feels like a real politician, to be honest with you. But if I were to give the award for the best portrayal of Grindelwald, then I'm going to have to give it to Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was the best Grindelwald. He was better than both of them. He had the charisma, he had the look, he had the ability to give speeches. He was pretty believable in the role of being able to seduce people to agree with him. Yeah, man, he does a great job. And I felt like out of all three, he should have stayed as Grindelwald, the entire time. I know they wanted to give Johnny Depp the role, but whatever. I don't know. The next thing I liked about the movie was actually there was an action scene where Newt actually has to break out his brother out of prison, and I thought that was the best action scene in the movie. That scene was what I wanted from these movies. I wanted Newt to be the expert when it comes to dealing with magical creatures, which is why they would call him to do what he needs to do. That is what these movies should have been about mostly. Him tackling on new creatures, him using his expertise to get in his way, to be able to solve the problems that most people can't solve, because he's not a super powerful wizard, but he knows his animals, and that's what I think that he should have been. It should have been like Steve Irwin, but with magical creatures, in my opinion. The last thing I did like was that Dumbledore does have a really, really cool action fight scene with Credence, and I thought that it was really fun, and Dumbledore just beat his ass. And I'm not gonna lie, I really liked that scene. It was really fun. It showed that Dumbledore was no joke, and he could take him out at any time. And then build up Credence to be like, oh, this is gonna be the guy who takes out Dumbledore. And it's like, nah, bro, you need to hold this L. But that's pretty much it on that part. In my opinion, this movie is a solid 5 out of 10. I mean, it does its job. It finishes off the story for these characters. That's pretty much it. I'm your boy Rant, and I'm out.